The 2020 World Championship will be underway shortly, starting with the play-in stages. This is a tactical preview of the teams in Group A, featuring some interesting matchups that I think will whet people's appetite for League of Legends. In Group A of the play-in stages, features the 4th seed from the LEC, the Mad Lions, the 3rd seed from the NALCS, Team Liquid, Oceania's 1st seed, Legacy, Turkey's 1st seed, Papara Supermassive, and Brazil's 1st seed, INTZ. To start things off, we will be taking a look at Papara Supermassive, who I would think is a rather good representation of the current meta. From what we see, teams they like to play towards the bottom side of the map and stack drakes for themselves. And Papara Supermassive is the embodiment of that, having an average 3.3 drakes per game, securing 68% of them, and at 15 minutes, they would usually have secured close to 1.5 drakes. This is a team that is carry jungle focused, that facilitates this carry jungle style through a bot lane push, playing the likes of Caitlyn and Kalista, with engaged type supports like Nautilus and Pantheon. The mid-game setup for the Dragons involves them playing on 3 lanes, going 1-3-1, and then 0-4-1, with one person going for the flank for the neutral objective. Their preferred style of teamfight features champions like Zoe and Vel'Koz, while they put top laner Armut on a tank like Ornn throughout most of the playoff series. This enables them to play a decent front-to-back teamfight or kite their opponents backwards on the neutral objective. Kakao in the jungle is definitely one of the big names for this team. With the carry jungle focused playstyle that they have, he tends to be ahead 73% of the time at 15 minutes, securing a nice CS lead for himself. The other big factor behind the success of this team is the other Korean import and the former Snowflower, who has racked up a KD of 4.9, and close to 2/3 of the time he has lane control of the bottom side of the map at 3 minutes, being able to either set up a gank for Kakao or being able to control the bot side river and secure bot side crab for his jungler. An alternative take to the bot lane focus presents itself in Team Liquid. Having a much lower drake count at 0.85 at 15 minutes, Team Liquid has secured 2.6 drakes per game, slightly under half of the drakes present in all of their games. Now this could be in part due to the type of jungle style that Broxah, their jungler, likes to go for, preferring ganking junglers. However, the focus is due towards the bot lane, where they try to enable a lane kingdom style of gameplay, focusing on the likes of Caitlyn and Ashe, pairing these champions up with semi-range supports like the former Trash and Bard, who normally have the range presence to bully out the lane, but also have the playmaking potential to make things happen around that side of the map. Similar to Papara Supermassive, Team Liquid they like to open 3 lanes, but there's a slight difference in which the style of team composition has them play in a 1-2-2 into a 0-3-2 with flanking team fights. Core JJ is definitely a big part of Team Liquid's success, having a 71.6 Q participation and a KD of 3. Completing out the bot lane for Team Liquid to achieve this bot lane kingdom style is Tactical, who has been ahead of 15 minutes, slightly above half the time, and is one of the top damage percentages at 29.7 in the LCS. Before we move on to the other teams, do click on the subscribe button, click on the bell to get notifications, and do give this video a like. The Mad Lions, on the other hand, is a team that is going through a little bit of a transformation. It's a team that is in need of finding form. This is a team that has generally deprioritized the drakes, having 0.73 drakes at 15 and only securing half of the drakes in all of their games at 2.2 average. The reason is that Drake is a tempo sink, and Mad Lions they prefer to trade this objective for control and position on the map. The first half of the LEC summer split saw Mad Lions take pole position, but the moment the second round robin started, things started to slip up for them. This could be in part be explained in the way that their jungler, Shadow, has been playing. Finding lots of success in ganking junglers, with his trademark Lee Sin pick, with some followed by Gragas as well. The meta saw a slight shift into farming junglers, and while he was able to find a decent amount of success on Lilia, his Lily, Graves, and Olaf do not enjoy the same win rates. Hakram seems to be an interesting marriage between the two styles, and is something that the mid lanes can find success with. Lee Sin and Lilia has been his most successful picks, and I think that these should be the flexible champions that mid lanes will be looking to, and will be a canary of sorts in the coal mine of what strategy that the mid lanes will be bringing to the table. In terms of the early game, the mid lanes they like the flexible options, drafting the likes of Camille and Renekton in the top lane for Orome, and having options such as Ashe and Senna for them to play through bot lane as well, should they want to have access to the stacking dragon playstyle. Still, this is a team that doesn't find team activity only around neutral objectives. This is a team that will try to use their tempo leads to create a pick-based style where they will play a complete or hover rotation, depending on the terminology, to find picks on the side lanes as well. The neutral objective setup will see them play a 2-3-0, ignoring the Drake at first, bridging for the weak side, pushing out the weak side to either +1 or neutral 1 minute before the Drake, before rotating into a 5-man mid setup to secure the dragon. Legacy is a similar team of sorts. However, we can see the various styles and how this combines in terms of how Legacy can be considered to be a jack of all trades. For a minor region team, Legacy has one of the lowest Drake priority going into the playing stages, with only 0.8 Drakes at 15 and only 2.8 Drakes per game, securing slightly only over half of the Drakes in all of the games present. Similar to mid lanes, Legacy, they prefer not to go for the Drakes, exchanging their opponents, going for such a tempo sync in exchange for position on the map to facilitate the 2-lane tempo-based pick style. And similar to Supermassive, they are also capable of experimental carry junglers, and should they want to as well, they have demonstrated abilities to play through a bot lane kingdom playstyle as well. However, despite all of those variables, there seems to be one consistent point, which is Tally in the mid lane was played generally a sacrificial role, playing the likes of Twisted Fate and Gallo, all taking a skilling matchup in the form of Ziggs and Victor to facilitate a win condition later on in the game. This shows in the way that he is only close to more than 80% of the time behind his opponent mid laner in CS and gold, and he also has a penchant for playing tanks in the mid lane. Most notably, Sett and Cho'Gath are options that they might look to. Raze is the key carry of the team, with a Q participation of close to 80% and a 3.8 KDA throughout the playoffs. INTZ puts the wild and wild card, and while they have a rather high Drake score, have of 1.22 at 15 and 3.3, securing 70% of the Drakes in all of the games. INTZ, unlike Supermassive, they prefer a ganking jungle style, with Shinny going for the likes of Sett, Volibear, and a signature Gragas. However, this ganking jungle style is not necessarily facilitated through one particular lane, and the decision making tends to be a little bit more opportunistic, reacting to what's happening or the opponent's specific playstyles. The mid game preference is to play a front to back team fight, going for the likes of Orianna in the mid lane and Astra in the AD carry position, while they set up in a similar way to Splice, playing on 2 lanes, bridging for the weak side, and then playing into the neutral objective as 5. Envy, the mid laner, was the standout performer for INTZ during their playoff series in their qualification for the 2020 World Championship. Being the largest Q participation of 77.7%, he racked up a KDA of 7.1 throughout the playoff series, featuring picks such as Lucian and Tristana for some solo standout plays as well. However, with the more bot lane focus that will be going on in Group A, support Redbird will be key to holding the fort and enabling Shinny to be able to make his ganking jungling style work out. This gives a rough summary of how each team prefers to play in the early game and the mid game setups. However, with the importance of dragons in this current metagame, we have to examine how each of these teams approach objective control as well. The Mad Lions, they prefer to play a pick style, and once they have a significant tempo advantage, they can then translate that into a dragon for themselves. Teams that have a pick preference will be good at punishing teams that do not have the proper setup in terms of approaching Drake. Team Liquid is one such team that can be exploited when they play on 3 lanes as they approach the Drake itself. However, Team Liquid, they have a means of exploiting another weakness in objective control, with their preference for setting up on multiple flanks. When approaching the neutral objectives, teams that do not understand the concept of zone control and setting trap zones well on neutral objectives can be punished by Team Liquid. Legacy, like Mad Lions, are another team that prefer to play a tempo-based game and can punish teams that play a 3-lane setup. However, when they themselves have control of the neutral objective, they have shown some weaknesses in zone control and can be punished and would possibly be punished by the likes of Team Liquid. While Supermassive, out of the minor regions, has the best early to mid game, their mid game leaves some questions, with their neutral objective control lacking both in their setup and their ability to control chokes and control the team fight accordingly. INTZ on the other hand has a decent setup, being able to get the right manpower to contest for mid prio and find a favorable position for the Drake. However, similar to the other minor region teams, they have shown some weaknesses in their ability to control the chokes and successfully use their positional advantage to secure objectives for themselves. The first interesting matchup I think that will be present in Group A will be Team Liquid versus Papara Supermassive. In short, the better bot lane will determine the early game. Draft and level 1 strats will be crucial in fighting for bot push, and looking at the lane state at 130 will be very informative as to how both of these two teams decide to play things out. Should Papara Supermassive default to their usual, and Team Liquid go for ganking jungler, before the 3-minute mark or around the Scarlet Crab timing will be an opportunity for Broxah to perhaps come up with some creative pathing to sacrifice some farm to enable his bot lane to perhaps win the matchup. We can expect Supermassive to start stacking their first 2 Drakes, and the Rift Herald priority and usage should be minimal. If either team make a Catalyst rotation for the Rift Herald, that could be where the game breaks open in favor of the opponent team. And once we reach the solo point, or once Soul is on the table, and Baron Nashor as well, the game will be determined by neutral objective team fighting. Team Liquid's 1-3-1 setups and flanks will be key to beating Supermassive should they fall behind early. The other interesting matchup I would like to look at is the Mad Lions against Legacy, with both of these two teams favoring a tempo-based style of pick in the mid game. Now, the premise for this to be an interesting matchup will be if both teams did decide to exchange map control early, and we see both Scarlet Crabs being exchanged by either side, with one team playing towards the top side of the map and the other playing towards the bottom side. Based on how these two teams exchange the map control, how each team prioritizes the first Drake and Herald will create interesting scenarios, which is sort of like an interesting chess match between these two teams in terms of, do we value the stacking pressure of the Drakes, or will we prefer securing Rift Herald to perhaps try to create a tempo lead and force scenarios where the opponents will not be able to raise them. Between 10 minutes and 20 minutes before the Baron Nashor becomes must fight or must control objective, this is where a lot of action can happen between these two teams, with both teams playing to maintain tempo, and a team that's behind on tempo will perhaps look for a cheese, setting up for a race scenario hiding in a bush, and then trying to pick somebody off after that. But once the Baron spawns and the Baron rolls around, it might give an opportunity for a team that's behind to come back, should they not be too far behind at a point of time. Now once again, Drake is a tempo sync, and we can expect both of these two teams to trade Drake for map position or tempo accordingly. And this matchup is interesting because watching these two teams play will give us an interesting question as to what happens if teams opt into this two-lane pick style in a meta where Drake stacking seems to be very important. And that wraps up the tactical preview of Group A of the World's 2020 play-ins. If you've enjoyed this content, do subscribe as there will be more coverage of the League of Legends World Championship as the event goes on.